Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice! Ta-da! Beetlejuice is a comedy horror movie from 1988. It's kind of a classic. Like, even if you've never actually watched the movie, you probably still know what it is from general pop culture references. And because nothing can ever truly die, a message from the movie itself, kind of, Beetlejuice is now getting a sequel, 36 years later. The sequel is called Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, which I think is actually a really clever choice for a title, but I don't like that it kind of sets us up for a third movie. Michael Keaton is back in the starring role as Beetlejuice, with Winona Ryder returning as Lydia. But even though pretty much everyone knows who or what Beetlejuice is, how many people actually remember the original movie? Not me. It definitely scared me as a child, so I pushed it deep down inside of my brain. So, of course, we're going to dig it up and revisit it today. This way, we'll all be prepared for when the sequel comes out. And then we'll say we're gonna go see it in theaters, and then we'll kind of keep putting it off until it's been long enough that the movie's no longer in every theater. And if we want to go see it, we kind of have to go to that one theater that's like a little bit further away. And then we decide by that point, we might as well just wait till it's on streaming. This movie was weird, but it was supposed to be weird. That's kind of its whole thing. It's that unique brand of 80s fever dream that is both unique to the era and to my nightmares. Let's begin. This movie is from back when Tim Burton films were more than just Johnny Depp in a wig and makeup and Danny DeVito in a top hat. This movie features Gina Davis, star of the beloved film Earth Girls Are Easy, as Barbara. And Alec Baldwin plays Adam. This is before the dark times. Barbara and Adam are a young, happily married couple who live in a big old house that they love a lot. They would rather stay in that house for 2 weeks straight than go on vacation somewhere like Jamaica. They never ever want to leave their house or their town. A perfectly healthy and normal feeling. Some lady named Jane is trying to sell their house, but it's not for sale. She's just creeping around windows like, I have a buyer. It kind of reminds me of those spam letters that I get in the mail that are like, we want to buy your house and hope you have no idea how much it's worth. By the way, the wildly extravagant offer for this big, beautiful house with hardwood floors, an open yard, and a working fireplace is $260,000. 1988. Then one day, driving back from the hardware store, Barbara and Adam get into a doggone accident. Maybe they actually shouldn't have left their house. When they get home, things are weird. They realize that they don't even remember how they got home after the accident. Adam tries to leave and ends up in Dune. He was outside for a few seconds, but Barbara says he was gone 2 hours. Surprise! They're dead. Fortunately, there's a handbook. Unfortunately, it's written for dead people a lot smarter than them.
Geographical and temporal perimeters. Functional perimeters vary from manifestation to manifestation.
Our first shot of Beetlejuice doesn't show his face. We just see a guy reading an afterlife newspaper and honing in on Barbara and Adam's obituary. Barbara and Adam haven't even figured out how to be dead when Jane sells the house. And did they have wills? Did someone inherit the house? Or was Jane just like, well, this is the 80s when fraud was easier, so my house now. Then the new residents move in, the Dietz family. Dietz nuts! I'm sorry. There's Charles, Delia, and their morose and gothic daughter, Lydia. Delia hates the house, but Charles loves it. By the way, this actor, Jeffrey Jones, has been a convicted sex offender since 2002. He was convicted of both soliciting and possessing inappropriate images of a minor. So I don't think he'll be in the sequel. Adam and Barbara have only one course of action.
There's a word for people in our situation. Ghosts.
They begin doing scary things to frighten the Dietzes who still can't see them. But how'd they figure this out? Because they go from, why can't we leave the house, to, well, I'm just gonna rip my own face off and trust that I can put that back on later. Headless Adam is able to run and lock the attic door because they've gotta protect their little model of the town that they've got up there. And it's not like a model train set or anything, it's just tiny town. By the way, all of Adam and Barbara's things are still in this house. So I'm assuming that they have no friends or family, which is really sad and goes fully unaddressed. Barbara and Adam try to leave the house again and they end up back in Dune and they encounter this sandworm thing that definitely frightened me as a child. And I'll be honest, I don't feel too good about it now. They do make it back into the house. I just looked it up, and this movie is rated PG. As the Dietz family continues moving in, our ghosts find an ad for a bioexorcist, but there's no phone number. Everything is unnecessarily chaotic.
What the hell are you doing out there?
But then Lydia is able to spot two faces peering out the window. Jane shows up and reveals that she was their family. So I guess she didn't want any sentimental items, just money from the sale of the house, and then we never see her again after this scene. Jane gives Lydia a skeleton key that'll open any door in the house, so of course Lydia runs right up to the locked attic, and our ghosts barely manage to keep her out. And an ad pops up on the TV.
Having trouble with a lemon?
I absolutely love how he is swinging that lasso, because he's not actually swinging the rope. He's just holding it in his hand and moving his hand around. Perfect. Also, everything shows Beetlejuice as being spelled like the name of the star, which I also looked it up because I was curious if that is actually how the star is pronounced. And I found some conflict within the astronomy community, with some people very intensely insisting that no, you do not pronounce the star like Beetlejuice. But we know the character's name is pronounced as Beetlejuice, so my question is, why is the title of the movie spelled different? Like, okay, I get why the spelling is used for the title because it's a lot easier to pronounce and it's very distinctive and evocative of the character, like Beetles and Juice. Gross. But I don't understand why they didn't have the spelling of his name in the movie match that. Was the title just a very last minute, very smart marketing decision? My lipstick is migrating out of my lip line, but you know what? It is what it is. The handbook instructs Adam to draw a door, and he and Barbara are able to pass through. The mystery door takes them to some sort of waiting room full of horrifically dead people. So it's very lucky that Barbara and Adam look relatively normal, and not like these folks. This man clearly burnt to death. How is this movie PG? Oh, let's not forget the receptionist.
If I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't have had my little accident.
Anyway, turns out the afterlife is an inefficient bureaucracy. They also discover that there is a potential second death after regular death.
That's the lost souls rule. It's death for the dead.
Meanwhile, Lydia gets into the attic and finds their little miniature version of the town. And is it just me, or are miniature towns just like kind of creepy? And I don't know why. Maybe it's because I watched this movie as a kid, actually thinking about it now. And she finds the handbook. I feel like the handbook just shouldn't be visible to the living. But honestly, it kind of seems like the system's broken down, like the afterlife needs new management, the budget keeps getting slashed. Barbara and Adam meet their caseworker, Juno, and she's not horrifically disfigured. She's just old. Actually, no, she does have a slit throat. It becomes obvious when she smokes. Everything just boils down to, please read the handbook, you dead dum-dums. And Juno gives them more information on Beetlejuice.
He was my assistant, but he was a troublemaker.
Including specific instructions on how to summon him.
Is by calling his name 3 times.
Like, don't do it, But here's exactly how you do it. But Barbara and Adam decide to give haunting their best effort. Yep, this is their best. Lydia hears the ghost moaning and groaning sounds.
Cut it out! I'm a child, for God's sake.
This movie is rated PG.
If you guys are gonna do that weird sexual stuff, do it in your own bedroom.
Again, PG. But Lydia can see them. She's trying to help them, but no one believes her.
Those are pictures of ghosts. Are they? Ghosts.
The goth who cried ghost. So, Barbara and Adam make a choice.
Beetlejuice!
Then they shrink down into the model, and it makes them dig to find Beetlejuice. Like, man, I hired you to do a job. I don't want to do manual labor. Anyway, he emerges. Beetlejuice is a whole vibe.
I lived through the Black Plague and I had a pretty good time during that.
This is the performance of a lifetime.
Now what do you think? You think I'm qualified?
They kind of want to leave, but Beetlejuice is now wearing the same outfit as Adam. Nice touch. But he's all like gropey and creepy. Bad touch. I have to wonder, Michael Keaton is reprising his role in the sequel, but he is 72 years old now. Can he still do all of this?
Trying to cut a D. What do you want me to do? Where are you?
His physicality in this role is wonderful.
Not staying here another minute.
Don't pay attention to it.
Do you think Michael Keaton did cocaine for this? Fortunately, they managed to escape. Beetlejuice is pissed.
Nice fucking model!
Remember how this movie is PG? So Delia Dietz is hosting a fancy important dinner party. And also, by the way, she redecorated the house and it's ugly. Although I like to believe that this is what Tim Burton's house looks like to this very day. Anyway, the PG movie delivers this line.
You know what they say about people who commit suicide? In the afterlife, they become civil servants.
The jokes in this movie could get this video demonetized, but this one did make me laugh because it's true. I mean, true in the movie, not like, it's true, I checked. I'm real glad that guy knew CPR. Speaking of ghosts, this starts happening. It begins spreading. And this goes on for a while. Way too long. Shrimp hands. By the way, did you know that song Deo, the Banana Boat song, is a traditional Jamaican folk song? I'm going to reference Wikipedia like a lazy person, but it says, it's from the point of view of dock workers working the night shift loading bananas onto ships. The lyrics describe how daylight has come, their shift is over, and they want their work to be counted up so that they can go home. It's a song about struggle, about black people in a colonized life doing the most grueling work. And now it's here in the shrimp hand scene of Beetlejuice. Anyway, following the dinner, our ghosts are like, yes, we did it. This went great. They're gonna be so scared. Now, they loved it.
I didn't even know I could do the calypso.
That's more fun than us.
This is a business opportunity.
I mean, everyone's going to want them for their parties.
The Dietzes are worried about scaring the ghosts.
But come on! If they are in here, I don't want to scare them away.
So Beetlejuice appears and he turns into this horrible snake creature and torments the family.
Come for your daughter, Chuck.
Thanks, I hate it. I mean, the movie is great. The plot is wonderful. It's all very clever. This is from that golden age of cinema where some weirdo could be like, I have an idea that'll traumatize children. And some guy will be like, great, here's some money. We'll release it in theaters. But I find the visuals upsetting on a primal level.
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice!
Oh, no!
Fortunately, Barbara sends Beetlejuice away, but Lydia is still pretty upset with her for almost murdering her family. Our ghosts are talking to Beetlejuice, and this happens. I don't really know how we got here, but here we are, in this PG movie. Turns out it was Juno.
The whorehouse was my idea.
I think the whorehouse was my idea is my favorite line in this movie. So Barbara and Adam have screwed up over and over and over. summoning Beetlejuice, getting photographed, letting humans find the handbook. By the way, there's just a dead football team. Is in the room, hanging out.
I don't think we survived that crash.
They have to scare away the Dietzes, and Juno is like, all right, show me what you got. And I know the effect is very fake looking, it's very 80s, but I still don't like it. Meanwhile, Lydia is writing, a letter.
By the time you read this, I will be gone.
And then she encounters Beetlejuice living in the model of the town.
I'm the ghost with the most, babe.
He eats half a roach, and like, I know that it's fake, but I'm not gonna show you a clip. If raw bugs ever become the only viable protein source left on the planet, I'll just die. He does charades to tell Lydia his name to summon him.
Hi, how are you?
Beetle.
Hi. But she backs out, and Barbara and Adam burst in.
We're dead.
I want to be dead too.
No.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that letter. Anyway, Charles is busy pitching some rich investor guy on the idea of buying the whole town and turning it into a paranormal amusement park, but they need to make the ghosts appear. A bold marketing strategy. So this guy, he's been a character this whole time, don't even worry about it, but he does a seance. And he manages to manifest Barbara and Adam in their wedding clothes that I guess the family kept. But they look all weird and they start crumbling away, and I kind of think that they're becoming lost souls, like that death after death that we saw earlier, but it's not super clear. Lydia has no choice but to make a deal with Beetlejuice. And what he wants is to get out. And in order to do that, he has to get married. Lydia agrees to the cosmic green card marriage and summons him. So Beetlejuice appears, and he does some stuff. Gets rid of the rich investor people. Did they live? Did they die? We don't know, and it doesn't matter. And now it's time for the wedding.
Dowry's on me, Dad.
I'm just sitting here reflecting on Michael Keaton's career, cause on one hand, he was Batman, but on the other hand, he also played the dad in that 90s Jack Frost movie about the guy who dies at Christmas and then he comes back the next year as a snowman and traumatizes his child and widow. Mama Dietz's sculptures come to life and entrap the parents. Don't want it. This weird tiny guy is conducting the ceremony in which a dead man who previously expressed that he'd been around long enough to remember the Black Plague attempts to forcibly marry a teenage girl in a ceremony that I am 75% sure is not legally binding within the American judicial system. Lydia tries to say no to the vows. Adam attempts to intervene. Barbara also tries to intervene.
Beetlejuice!
If you haven't seen the movie, I don't know if a full impression of the character of Beetlejuice will make it through in this video, but just know that he is constantly moving and flailing around. He's constantly talking rapidly about just a bunch of different things. His facial expressions are constantly changing. It's a lot. Is it too much? Yes, but also no. Am I overwhelmed and queasy? Yes. But am I having a great time? I think so. This movie is horrifying, but it's also very entertaining. It doesn't get bogged down by things like plot or logic. Barbara gets sent to the planet that I've been referring to as just Dune. I know the planet in Dune is called Arrakis. But according to Beetlejuice, apparently that's Saturn. So, cool. The wedding is almost complete.
I now pronounce you.
Then Adam drives a tiny car into Beetlejuice's foot.
And
That'll teach him. And Barbara has the much more productive maneuver of bursting in riding one of those creepy sandworms, which eats Beetlejuice and disappears. Crisis averted! The day is saved! And now, after some time has clearly passed, we see Lydia coming home from school. She lives happily with her ghost parents.
I got an A.
It's very sweet how invested they are. And there was kind of a subtle hint at the beginning of the movie that maybe they couldn't have children. Like when Jane is haranguing Barbara to sell the house, she says that the house should belong to someone with a family with children. And Barbara kind of reacts with this very sad expression, and Jane quick tries to backtrack. But that just might be me reading into it, because later when Barbara tells Adam what Jane said, he's just kind of like, well, we can keep trying for kids over our vacation. So I don't know. Either way, now they've kind of acquired a daughter. Her human parents are still there too. Her mom is sculpting again, clearly inspired by her experience. Man, if I had known that I could have ghosts raise my kids, maybe I would have had some. They're having a great time. The football team makes an appearance. The living and the dead coexisting peacefully in the same house. A beautiful abomination of nature. We do get one more shot of Beetlejuice in the Afterlife Social Services office. He's got ticket number 9 trillion and something, and he tries to swap with the guy next to him who has ticket number 4, but then the guy shrinks Beetlejuice's head. I kind of wonder if the sequel will open with Beetlejuice in the social services office, after his ticket finally gets called and he's released back into the world 30 years later. By the way, they inexplicably decided to make this very PG movie into a cartoon for children. Beetlejuice, the animated series, ran from September 1989 to December 1991 for 94 episodes. Tim Burton actually developed the cartoon and served as executive producer. I guess that explains how it got made so fast after the 1988 movie. It was definitely a toned down version of the Beetlejuice character. And Lydia is there. She's 12. Fortunately, Beetlejuice is more of her wacky interdimensional pal, rather than an undead pervert looking for a child bride. I won't go too in depth into the cartoon, I'll just leave it there, because honestly, the cartoon could be a video by itself. There was also a Beetlejuice musical.
Finer points can wait, but first you gotta say my name. Fake cartwheel.
And that's Beetlejuice. Now, like it or not, we're all ready for the sequel.
The juice is loose.
I, for one, can't wait to see 72-year-old Michael Keaton attempt to recreate this character. I hope we can just see the exhaustion in his eyes. The passage of time is the scariest ghost of all.